Well, the unfortunate ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas has led to a number of strikes in the region, and caught in the crossfire are Indian students living and studying there. This has raised concerns about the safety of these students who may be at risk of being caught up in the violence. However, help is at hand. The Indian government has been working to provide assistance to the students, including by helping them from Israel evacuate the country. However, a number of students remain stranded in the country due to various challenges. Let's first up listen in to some of the testimonies of Indians in distress in Israel.
It's actually the sudden one. We didn't expect right now because it's actually holiday in Israel. So we got the siren from starting from early morning around 5:30. So we have a bunker everywhere, like the shelter room. So we were in bunkers for 7-8 hours till the sirens got off. And now we are right now we are in our apartment. So Indian embassy, yes, there is one person is contacted me through WhatsApp. But yes, we have the contacts.
Actually, really nervous and scared. So I have few Indian friends here, so they are supporting me.
It's like pretty intense because of the people coming in the cars and firing, infiltrations happening around us. So it's a little scary. But in our city, we are safe. Indian embassy is engaged with us in the groups. They are constantly in touch with us.
And let's talk about the Indian response. Union Minister Meenakshi Lekhi says Indian government is striving to bring back stranded students of India from Israel. Listen in.
Prime Minister's office is directly supervising the situation, and we are on the job. Even in the past, many students, including people from Andhra Pradesh, were stuck across. So whether it was Operation Ganga or Vande Bharat, we brought everyone back, and I'm sure Government of India and Prime Minister's office is directly in touch with those people and is working and monitoring the situation.
So the Union Minister tells us that the Prime Minister is personally monitoring the situation. However, as the Union Minister establishes that evacuation is topmost priority for India, remains to be seen how that's going to happen, given how some of the flights, the Air India flights to and from Tel Aviv, are going to be suspended till the 14th of October. They're going to remain suspended. So there are challenges, of course, that come to the fore, but an assurance nonetheless coming in from the Indian government, from the central government, which continues to maintain that safety and security of Indian students in Israel is our topmost priority. Apart from that, of course, remember how the series of exchanges of missiles, of the ongoing conflict is being witnessed on ground. Several Palestinian militants, remember, have been firing rockets from Gaza Strip towards Israel, which has led to the loss of at least 250 people's lives, has wounded people in thousands. It's set off air raid sirens as well across the country, though we're being told that none of the air raid sirens are on as we speak. But hundreds of Hamas militants, remember, most worryingly have infiltrated Israel in SUVs, in motorcycles, using paragliders. They've opened fire at some of the civilians there, and that's why this is very, very concerning and worrying. Those are some of the visuals as well of how the Hamas terrorists continue to not just infiltrate but also take people as hostage. We have Yaakov Katz, who's a senior fellow at JPPI, a Jerusalem Post columnist, also author of Shadow Strike and Weapon Wizards, with us on the broadcast. Mr. Katz, many thanks for speaking to us here on Times Now. A worrying situation indeed. First, I want to understand your perspective and what do you make of the ongoing conflict as it enters day 2?
Well, I think we have to put things into perspective, right? This is a conflict that Hamas launched. It invaded Israel yesterday with 1,000 fighters who crossed into the country and attempted to murder and kidnap and abduct and take hostages. This is exactly what they did, and they were very successful at it. We have hundreds of Israelis who have been killed, another 100 or so who have been abducted and taken back into the Gaza Strip. This is a war. It's a war that will take days, if not longer. Israel has to fight back and hit Hamas and undermine and take back and degrade its capabilities, but also restore its deterrence. And we have to keep in mind that the whole world is watching, right? We have Iran, we have Hezbollah in Lebanon. This is a conflict that Israel was unfortunately forced into, but now will be defending itself.
And don't you think it's a foreign-aided conflict as well? If we talk about the kind of support that's come in for the Hamas in Gaza, I mean, this kind of an assault could not have been launched without a prior consultancy, a prior conspiracy, and a lot of aid coming in from across the neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, we know, for example, that Hamas receives direct funding from Iran. It is a proxy of the Islamic Republic of Iran. They give it money, training, weapons so that it can attack the state of Israel. And they did a good job from their perspective yesterday. I mean, 1,000 Hamas terrorists cross into Israel, armed to the teeth, go into people's homes, into their bedrooms, slaughtering Israeli civilians, taking whole families, elderly people, young and old, men, women, children, taking them hostage back into Gaza, abusing the corpses and the bodies of the dead in ways that are horrific. And I would hope that none of you would ever have to see these images, but we should, because we should know what we are up against. This is the type of threat that we face from Islamic fundamentalism and from the terrorist proxies that are supported by Iran.
Absolutely. And then what about the world powers, the global powers that are going soft on this ideology, on this propaganda, on this agenda? Because there are those who most certainly have given the impression that though they're condemning the attack that's been unleashed by the Hamas, they're still going soft on it. And they're in fact asking Israel as well to lower its assault on Gaza.
You're 100% right. A policy of appeasement, a policy of containment when facing enemies of this kind, like Hamas, like Iran, like the Hezbollah terrorist organization in Lebanon, like ISIS, it doesn't work. Like the Taliban in Afghanistan, it does not work. Policies of containment, policy of appeasement will not stop them. They gain strength from it. The only way to defeat these enemies is to meet strength through strength, is to fight back, to hurt them, to degrade their capabilities, to weaken their capabilities, and to try as much as possible to destroy these terrorist organizations. The containment and the appeasement will not work.
Mr. Yaakov, and what do you make of the reason why this was allowed to happen? How did this happen in the first place? Israel is known for its unmatched surveillance capabilities, its powerful military capabilities, and yet this happened at this kind of a scale.
That is a great question that we will need some time to understand. This is a huge failure by the Israeli intelligence services, by the Israeli defense forces. The Israeli intelligence services should have learned that this was happening. To send 1,000 terrorists across the border is something that requires planning and time. And the fact that Israel did not know about this is a failure. The fact that they were able to breach the border and take over certain communities inside Israel for hours until the Israeli forces were able to fight back is also a failure. All of that will have to be studied, and that will take time. But now we have to keep in mind Israel is fighting for survival. This is a fight that Israelis have waged for 75 years since we were established as a state, just around the same time as you in India.
Yes.
And it's a fight that we have had to wage for those 75 years, to fight for our survival, to be Jews in our ancestral homeland. And we will have to continue to fight that today.
And once again, perhaps it's high time that the entire world pledges to fight this together, unlike some who are continuously aiding this kind of a propaganda
100%.
and the ideology that is being followed by the Hamas terrorists in Gaza. Many thanks for that, Mr. Yaakov Katz. Thank you for taking out your time and speaking to us here on Times Now India.